Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Tony.
Hiya. Yep.
Yeah, I'm Robert. Pleased to meet
Hiya.
you.
Yeah. You do.
Yeah, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm actually working with an independent organisation on behalf of My Learning Hub. So, yeah, first of all, if we could sort of jump in, would you like to introduce yourself and your role and talk a little bit about the organisation?
So I'm Toni Chivers. So my role within Active Luton is Director of Education, Training and Development. So I head up a number of teams that deliver training both internally, so our training department who delivers all of our internal training, but also delivers training to other leisure providers, first aid, national lifeguard qualifications, those kind of things. And then the education team, which is why I'm dressed like this, I've been in school all morning teaching.
Right.
So we go in and work with schools and deliver lots of training and courses externally to teachers. So we're all kind of PE teachers by trade. So
Right.
we do that. And I also look after libraries as well. But I guess from sort of the My Learning Hub perspective, I oversee all of our corporate induction, our internal training and all of those things.
Right. Okay. So, in terms of how you use My Learning Hub, then.
So it was brought in at a time where the head of training, who kind of sits within my directorate, was involved with our then IT manager and a consultant who we had brought in as an organisation to come up with a mechanism for managing our training. So at that point, I didn't have a huge amount to do with it. I say we had a consultant that worked with us that we had employed who had done a lot of research on different management systems and had identified that My Learning Hub was a really good solution. I was involved in a couple of meetings with Aisha, who currently at that time worked with My Learning Hub, who came and did some sort of, not hard sells, when they come and talk to you about what it looked, and it looked really, really good. So that was great. So we then bought into it. At that point, my involvement was negligible because it was very much seen as a training function. And so I probably have spent the last however long that now takes us to, a year and a half, whatever,
Right.
just understanding the system and liaising with Max and Thomas, and I love it. I think it's brilliant. I have been like the ambassador, and probably in hindsight I should have been involved more from the outset, but at the time I was involved in closing a facility, so it just wasn't on my radar, and it was very much a training tool that our head of training should really be driving. But I say I've kind of sort of, and she's great, and she's on board now. But it's been a process, and we're still learning. And when we sort of laugh at the beginning, we use it badly. I still don't think we're making the most of it that we could, but we are certainly doing a lot more on it now than we were. So we are moving all of our training onto that platform. So people are now booking themselves onto internal training using My Learning Hub. We have developed some of the blended learning and created our own modules via the authoring tool, but also Max showed us how to upload things into the content builder and build courses that way. So we're getting there. I've just restructured the whole permissions and the organogram of the organisation. So again, we kind of got the permission set with just like 4 tiers, but now everyone's got a user role. So the whole organisation is now on the organogram, and user roles are linked to their, obviously their job title, but then to their competencies. We've now started putting all our policies on there, so we're using that as a hub, which has been really useful because we are now responsible for libraries, but the libraries are working on a different IT system to us, so they can't actually get onto our intranet. But actually, we've been using My Learning Hub as that base for the policies because they can access it. Right. So a real, real bonus and real solution to an IT problem. So we're still growing, we're still developing, we're still learning new things constantly. I'm still emailing Max frequently saying, "Can you just tell me this? Could you just?" But yeah, I think, well, I'll say the growth within our organisation and how we're using it, it's transformed really.
Right. So I just want to sort of try and clarify this a bit, sort of thing, because obviously I don't know the structure of the organisation, sort of thing. So what sort of material, what's the range of material is then? Sort of how many courses do you have, sort of thing?
Well, internally we so we're using it to run our bookable courses. So we run first aid, national life, pool guard, lifeguard qualifications, rescue tests for teachers, PPOs, so pool plant operators. We do our corporate induction, so that's kind of customer care training. We do first, health and safety. So we've developed it to book our courses on, and then we also have used it as the platform for our blended learning.
And when you say blended learning, what?
So blended learning is the language that we use for online. So it's kind of the online content, and our courses are all at the moment face-to-face.
Right.
So blended learning might have an element of face-to-face, but the majority of it is accessed via the platform itself.
Right. Okay.
So we, every role within our organisation has mandatory training associated with it, which is deemed essential for people's. A lot of it is compliance related, so it's very much linked to the health and safety that people have to do, particularly within our operations. So as an organisation, although I head up the training, we run all the leisure facilities in Luton.
Right.
So one of the other directors is responsible for all the leisure facilities and all the running of the leisure centres and the swimming pools. And we also have another team who deliver all the sort of health and wellbeing. They do sort of social prescription. So everybody has what's classed as a competency. So we go through each role and say, so what training is considered mandatory for this role? What can, what from health and safety perspective or, legislative perspective do they have to have? We create a competency on My Learning Hub with those courses as part of that competency. And then that competency is assigned to that user. So they then work their way through any training that has been allocated.
So they effectively have a custom program for that role, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of do you know actually how many courses there are on there in terms of numbers?
What, in terms of courses? No. We've got 300 members of staff, and everybody has at least 5 modules within their competency. So, there's a lot on there, and we developed quite a lot over the lockdown. So we ran our whole return to work training program via My Learning Hub, which was the first time we've really kind of got people to book on via it. So we set all the courses up and then sent out people to the links, got people to book on. So yeah, I think we're still. The use of it is still evolving within the organisation, but we are certainly using it more.
Yeah, but everybody uses it.
Yes, everybody that's an employee immediately gets put on. When they join, they get kind of added, and then their compliance gets allocated to them, and then they can start accessing their training.
Right. Once you've discovered what's there, have you found it reasonably easy to actually get it to work to do what you do?
Once you know the language of the system, I think it's relatively straightforward. But for me, one of the biggest challenges was knowing what the different things meant or what happened. So even now, when we're setting up courses, Carol, who is our training manager, and I will often kind of go in and do it together. So I'll assign her things, she'll go in and go, yes, this works, and whatever. We still aren't that confident with it, but it's a bit like blended learning and courses, and until you know that blended learning is the online, and there's a few of those, you go, well, you know, what does that, if I do that, what does that actually mean, and those kind of things. Once you understand that language, it makes it a lot easier. So they use the word surveys. Well, that to me is an evaluation form. So some of it is just that commonality, really.
So overall, I suppose, what's your overall summary of how you feel My Learning Hub sits in your organisation?
Well, it's an integral part of our organisation. You know, we are now using it to manage and kind of, what's the word, audit our internal training. It is that kind of vehicle for checking compliance. I've just literally finished writing an updated learning and development policy and procedure, and integral into that is My Learning Hub. So I've kind of put instructions on how people need to access their training via My Learning Hub, how they have to upload, how they have to. So it's now an integral part of our organisation. But again, it's just about that constant training of staff in how to use it to its maximum benefit, really, but also for us in terms of developing more online content, I think would be better. Something that we still need quite a lot of work our end to kind of get better at it, really.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. Anything you want to say, really?
No, I mean, let's say it's a really good system. We've spent a lot of time over lockdown. Kind of Max has done some virtual things with us and kind of got the training team using it. So, and as updates get sent out, they let us know, and if there are things that we say, actually, this would be really helpful, can you do that? Again, they're very responsive. We had an issue where people were actually marking off their own certificates as compliant, and I was like, I don't want people to be able to. So they put something in the system that means that you can't mark off your own certificate. So they are very responsive to requests. If I email Max, he always comes back straight away. If I email him, say, oh, could you just, is there a way, have I done this wrong? I find them, they're very helpful. And they probably find it really frustrating because I'm sure I ask the same questions lots and lots of times. But we've made real progress.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. And when we put this together, you will sort of get to see it and okay it, sort of thing. So
all right.
Thank you very much. All right.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.